We will now jump from the Nordics and sort of country cases actually a bit wider again and go back to European Union level. So this morning, if you heard Gertrud already make a teaser about the EU e-government action plan, but now we will have a Juan from the European Commission coming to the stage and actually say even more about it, how that will help us to digitize governments all around Europe and make the most of data that we have. All right, all yours.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Juan Arregui. I work in the European Commission.
Speak directly to the mic. Yeah.
It is basically e-government. Thank you very much for inviting me to be here. So far it's been a really interesting event, and I will speak about the new e-government action plan that we've launched a month ago, basically focusing on the vision that's driven this action plan, the principles that will guide the action plan, the policy priorities, and also the kind of actions that we envisage for the future. Just some words about the policy context. Is based on the previous e-government action plan. It fits in with the European semester, the annual growth surveys, and the country-specific recommendations. E-government is recognized by the Commission as a strategic driver for growth and competitiveness. There's a growing need for cross-border services. This is recognized by legislation. And we have been measuring progress for a number of years in e-government and in information society. And we've been providing funding for the development of e-government through various funding mechanisms, mainly the European Structural Funds, the CEF, the Connecting Europe Facility, Horizon 2020 for research and innovation activities, and also the Structural Reform Support Program. This has been recognized, and this is what is guiding our policy work, is the digital single market strategy. Obviously, you cannot have a proper digital single market if digital public services do not work across borders. So the digital single market strategy recognizes this. A lot of work has already been done, a lot of progress has been achieved, but we're not quite there yet. We have new challenges. So making public services work online across borders is one of the main challenges. So we have presented a new action plan. And how did we get there? We got there evaluating the previous e-government action plan in the midterm. We have been following, as I said, progress in e-government across the European Union for almost 15 years now. And we've been discussing with the member states regularly, especially very intensively last year. And also, and this is one of the main changes, is that within the Commission itself, we found that there is an increasing, but growing interest from other policy departments in e-government. I'll get back to that later. We published a roadmap, basically with the main policy priorities, the principles. We opened a public consultation online, received quite a lot of impact. We had well over 300 respondents, and we held also 5 stakeholder workshops during 2015, which have helped us to prepare this new action plan. So what is new compared to the previous action plan? First, the approach. Okay, so far, what you have is 12 pages full of good intentions and a to-do list for the Commission. You will see that everything there is for the Commission to do. Member States will also have to implement once we've done it. But so far, this is but what we want, and this is one of the main themes of my presentation, and I have to emphasize, is that we want this to-do list to be also to come from others, stakeholders, member states. The content, it's a more holistic approach to e-government. We've been, most of the action, 90% of the actions are from other policy departments in the Commission, not from ours. This shows that the Commission e-government is strategic, it's important for delivering policy goals. One main novelty is the flexibility. We want this to be a dynamic action plan, so it evolves. It's not set in stone for 5 years, but we'll be able to adapt, to transform throughout the life of the action plan. And the key component is that we will be actively searching for stakeholder engagement. We want to reach out to third parties, to hear their needs, their solutions to their needs that are not being met, and how can we all work together. And okay, so this action plan starts with a vision. It grows from the 2009 vision we had in Malmö, and we want that by 2020, public administrations should be open, efficient, inclusive, providing borderless, personalized, user-friendly public services to citizens, businesses across the EU. We want public administrations to be innovative in how they solve the needs of citizens and businesses, and make the best use of the new technologies that are out there. And these are the principles that will guide the actions in the new action plan. We see that all the new actions shall comply with these. There should be digital by default. This will comply with the once only principle. It should be guarantee inclusiveness and accessibility for those who, by choice or by circumstances, cannot interact with government via the internet. It should be open and transparent. It should be cross-border by default, interoperable by default, and trustworthy and secure. This slide basically sums it up. The red thread for this e-government action plan is opening up. We open up between public administrations within member states at all levels. We open up across countries, across borders, and, very important, administrations open up to third parties, to stakeholders. This diagram sums it sums it well. It's open data, we open processes, and we open services for reuse. Now, just some words about the policy framework. These are the 3 policy priorities that we will focus on in the action plan. These have been already identified in the digital single market strategy. And you will see that the first pillar is modernizing public administration with ICT and using key digital enablers. Second pillar, enabling cross-border mobility through interoperability. And third pillar, facilitating digital interaction between administration and citizens, so basically opening up towards the third parties. So the action plan has 20 actions already identified. This is the to-do list for the Commission, but we expect many more to come over the coming years. Very briefly, the main kind of the themes that we foresee for each of the policy priorities for the modernizing public administration with ICT, it will be transforming the back offices, procedures and services. It's about efficiencies, effectiveness, so this includes opening data and services to other administrations, use and build reusable solutions, and also reach a common understanding of the European interoperability framework. Other initiatives could be the cloud technologies, data, a lot of data. We've been talking a lot about data this morning, so that we achieve a modern, transformed public administration. These are the actions. I won't go through them in detail, but you have them in the action plan. There's, so again, the accelerated take-up of EID in the Commission. There was a question this morning about what is the Commission planning to do about this, and basically the Commission is going to promote internally the use of EIDA's services. So these are some of the actions. The second pillar, the cross-border, very important for the digital single market. So basically what we want to achieve is that users of e-government have the same experience at home, abroad, sorry, as they have at home using national e-government services. So this includes, for example, one important initiative is the Digital Single Gateway, which will consolidate the different information services online provided by the Commission for consumers and for businesses, and to consolidate it and make it more efficient. E-Justice portal, to make it a one-stop shop for information. Business registers, interconnection of business registers, also very important for making the life of businesses easier. And the digitization of company law, and also very important, and a subject very, very close to Vice President Ansip's heart, is the once-only principle, to launch a pilot with different member states, involving different member states, on the application of the once-only principle for businesses across borders. Okay. Finally, the third pillar. It's about facilitating the interaction of citizens, businesses, non-government organizations with public administration, to involve citizens, businesses, stakeholders in the design, delivery of public services. This includes opening up data, public data, otherwise it wouldn't happen, facilitating the reuse by third parties so that we can develop new services, new opportunities for growth and for jobs. And of course, this will lead to greater transparency, greater accountability. So some of the actions that we have included here is assess the possibility of applying the once-only principle for citizens. We're going to do it for businesses. Now we'll see if it can work also for citizens. And again, an important action for the Commission is that we'll transform the websites to support greater interaction with stakeholders. And this was mentioned already this morning by Gertrude. Final word about the management and the governance. There will be a steering board, e-government action plan steering board, made up of member state representatives, responsible for the e-government strategies. We will continue monitoring the progress of the action plan and e-government in general. Actions should have their own monitoring mechanisms. And we will continue to benchmark the progress of e-government according to the main policy priorities. And finally, very, very important, is we will have a stakeholder engagement platform. We will launch it officially next week at a Dutch presidency event. And this is a platform where stakeholders can propose new initiatives to be included in the action plan. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Before I take questions from the audience, can I ask you one thing? So 20 things in the agenda is quite a long one in a way. What do you expect to be the quickest win, and what do you expect to be the hardest sell?
Okay. The quickest.
The mic.
Sorry. The quickest win will be basically most of these actions are for businesses, will have an impact. They will make life easier for businesses wanting to work across borders, and that's clearly going to happen thanks to this. The hardest sell, I think, is to keep this action plan alive.
Right.
After we've launched the document, we want it to evolve.
Right.
This is going to be the hardest part. This is where we're going to spend a lot of effort to promote, to engage stakeholders, so that we receive new ideas for action.
Okay. Any other questions? Somebody from the audience? If not, then just one last sort of question from my side, that in all the pillars, there were sort of actions, and then there was other initiatives that could be coming. So what's the sort of logic behind that? Is it like A-list, B-list, something else? Or is it exactly keeping it live?
It's about keeping it live.
Okay.
It's giving ideas to stakeholders, so then, okay, well, this could fit in this policy priority.
Right.
So it's about keeping it alive from here.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.